Love After 60, 5 Smart Ways Women Should Act When Older Men Ignore Them. Ladies, let's address something that's been happening far too often in our community. You've been having wonderful conversations with a mature man, perhaps several lovely dates, and then suddenly, silence. He stops calling, stops texting, or becomes distant and unavailable. Your instinct might be to chase, to wonder what you did wrong, or to wait around hoping he'll return to his previous attentiveness. Welcome back to Wise Advice for Elderly. But here's what I've learned after decades of watching relationships. How you respond to being ignored reveals everything about your self-worth and often determines whether you'll ever hear from him again or whether you even want to. Today, I'm sharing 5 smart, dignified ways to handle it when an older man starts ignoring you. These aren't games or manipulation tactics. They're mature, self-respecting responses that protect your worth while giving you clarity about his true intentions. If you're ready to learn how to respond to silence with strength and wisdom, and want to discover approaches that either bring the right man back or help you move forward with grace, hit that subscribe button now. We're building a community of women who know their value and refuse to compromise their dignity for anyone's attention. Smart response number 1. Stop chasing what's already running away. Ladies, I understand that when someone you've opened your heart to begins pulling away, every instinct in your body screams at you to reach closer, to try harder, to somehow bridge the growing distance with more of your own energy and attention. Your first impulse might be to reach out more frequently, to check if everything's okay, to suggest more activities, to essentially become the sole architect of a connection that should be built by 2 willing hands. But this is one of the most heartbreaking mistakes you can make, not just because it rarely works, but because of what it costs your own soul. When a mature man begins ignoring you or treating your presence as optional, he's giving you information, painful, clear information about his level of genuine interest and emotional availability. The harsh truth is that chasing him won't change his feelings about you. It will only confirm to him that you'll accept minimal effort and inconsistent attention as the price of keeping him in your life. You're inadvertently teaching him that he can treat you as a convenience rather than a priority, and you'll not only tolerate it, you'll work harder to earn what should be freely given. Dorothy, 65, learned this devastating lesson through her own experience. When Richard started becoming distant and stopped calling with the same warmth and regularity, something desperate awakened in me. I found myself texting him more than ever before, suggesting activities I thought he'd enjoy, essentially carrying the entire weight of our connection on my shoulders. I was doing all the emotional work, all the reaching out, all the planning, and calling it love. Looking back with clearer eyes, I realized I was chasing someone who was clearly showing me through his actions that I had become optional in his life, someone he could take or leave depending on his mood or availability. Instead of pursuing what's retreating from you, you must find the strength to step back completely. Don't send those checking-in texts that come from your worry rather than genuine news to share. Don't make excuses to call him about things that could easily wait or be handled another way. Don't increase your efforts to capture attention that should be naturally drawn to you. This isn't playing hard to get. This is the profound act of honoring yourself by refusing to chase someone who isn't enthusiastically, consistently pursuing you. Here's what stepping back accomplishes. It gives you painful but necessary clarity about his true level of interest. It preserves the dignity that chasing slowly erodes, and it creates space for him to realize what he's losing if genuine care still lives in his heart. If he doesn't step up when given that space, you have your answer about his feelings. And that answer, however painful, is a gift that prevents you from wasting more of your precious time and energy. A man who truly values you will notice the absence of your attention like a missing heartbeat and will make genuine effort to reconnect. A man who doesn't notice, or notices but doesn't care enough to reach out, has shown you exactly where you stand in his priorities, and that knowledge, though it may hurt, is the key to your freedom.
Smart response number 2. Reclaim the life you put on hold. When someone starts ignoring you, the most powerful and perhaps most difficult thing you can do is redirect all that energy you've been pouring into wondering about them, analyzing their silence, and hoping for their attention back into the life that was yours long before they appeared. This isn't about making him jealous or playing strategic games. This is about remembering something profound that heartbreak often makes us forget. Your life was full, meaningful, and beautiful before he entered it, and it remains so whether he chooses to be present or not. But here's what I've noticed happens to so many of us. We meet someone who captures our interest, and slowly, without even realizing it, we begin rearranging our entire existence around the possibility of their attention. We start saying no to social invitations because we're hoping to be hear from him. We put off pursuing hobbies and interests that used to bring us joy because we want to be available if he calls. We decline quality time with friends and family who actually prioritize our company because we're saving our energy for someone who may or may not show up. Patricia, 67, discovered something both heartbreaking and liberating when she broke this pattern. When Thomas started becoming distant and I could feel myself slipping into that familiar spiral of waiting and wondering, I made a conscious decision to stop putting my life on hold for someone who clearly wasn't putting his life on hold for me. I signed up for that photography course I had been considering for months, planned a weekend trip with my sister that I'd kept postponing, and started volunteering at the local animal shelter, something I'd always wanted to do but never made time for. Within just 2 weeks, something amazing happened. I realized I was happier, more fulfilled, and more genuinely myself than I had been in months. This approach serves multiple profound purposes that go far beyond the immediate situation. It reminds you of your own inherent worth and the natural richness of your life that exists completely independent of any romantic relationship. It prevents you from falling into that destructive pattern of sitting around analyzing his behavior, dissecting his last text message, or waiting by the phone for contact that may never come. And perhaps most importantly, it often makes you naturally more attractive because confidence and genuine independence are among the most magnetic qualities a person can possess. But here's the deeper truth, the one that might save your heart. When you're genuinely engaged in your own life, not performing engagement to prove a point, but actually living fully, you naturally become unavailable for crumbs of attention from someone who can't decide if they want to be with you. You transform from someone who's grateful for occasional contact into someone who requires consistent, genuine interest. You stop accepting leftovers and start expecting the full meal. And sometimes in that transformation, you discover something unexpected. But we'll talk about what that might be in just a moment.
Smart response number 3. Stop writing love stories about his silence. Ladies, we need to have an honest, perhaps painful conversation about the elaborate stories we tell ourselves when someone we care about begins treating us like we're optional. Listen to these familiar refrains. He's probably just overwhelmed with work right now. Maybe he's dealing with some family issues he doesn't want to burden me with. He might be scared of getting too close too fast. Or he's probably just not good with phones. Some men aren't. These explanations sound reasonable. They sound understanding and mature. They make us feel like we're being patient and considerate rather than needy or demanding. But here's the heartbreaking truth we need to face. Making excuses for someone's lack of communication is often our heart's way of avoiding a reality too painful to accept, that we're simply not enough of a priority to them to warrant basic consideration. And we deserve so much better than that. Linda, 64, spent weeks crafting these protective narratives. I kept telling myself that Michael was just overwhelmed with his retirement transition, that texting wasn't really his strong suit, that he was probably giving me space because he assumed I was busy with my own life. I was working so hard to justify his silence, to make it make sense in a way that didn't require me to face what was really happening. I was creating reasons why a grown man who had been pursuing me couldn't manage to send a simple text or make a brief call. Looking back, I realized I wasn't being understanding. I was being willfully blind to the reality that someone who truly wanted to be with me would find ways to communicate, regardless of what challenges or changes were happening in his life. Here's what we need to understand about mature men, about people in general. They know how to use phones. They understand that relationships require some level of communication to survive and thrive. They make time, energy, and effort for what's truly important to them. When someone wants to reach you, when you matter to them, when you're a genuine priority rather than a pleasant option, they find a way, always. The man who's dealing with work stress but texts you to say he's thinking of you, even though he can't talk long. The man who's managing family issues but calls to let you know he's going through something difficult and will reach out properly when he can. The man who's scared of getting too close but communicates that fear rather than disappearing into silence. These are the actions of someone who values your place in their life. Stop creating elaborate narratives that excuse behavior that at its core shows a lack of consideration for your feelings. Start accepting his actions and his lack of action at face value. Silence is a form of communication, and it's telling you clearly that you're not enough of a priority for him to make even the minimal effort of a text message or brief phone call. If you're recognizing yourself in any of these patterns, you're not alone. Let me know in the comments which response resonates most with your experience. Your honesty helps other women in our community.
Smart response number 4. Set clear standards and stick to them. This is perhaps the most important response of all. Decide what kind of treatment you will and won't accept, then hold those boundaries firm regardless of how you feel about someone. Your standards might include consistent communication, reliability in making and keeping plans, respect for your time and feelings, and genuine enthusiasm for your company. When someone fails to meet these basic requirements, your response should be clear and consistent. Margaret, 68, learned to implement this beautifully. After David started the pattern of calling regularly and then disappearing for days without explanation, I decided I wouldn't accept inconsistent communication anymore. When he finally called after 5 days of silence, I calmly told him that reliable communication was important to me, and if he couldn't provide that, we weren't compatible. Setting standards isn't about punishment or ultimatums. It's about self-respect and clarity. You're not trying to change him. You're deciding what you will accept in your life and acting accordingly. Here's what this looks like in practice. If he reaches out after ignoring you, don't immediately become available. You might say something like, "I've been enjoying my time focusing on other things. Consistent communication is important to me in any relationship." Then, let your future interactions depend on whether he can meet that standard. The beautiful thing about having clear standards is that they filter out people who aren't ready for the kind of relationship you deserve, while attracting those who are genuinely serious about building something meaningful with you. Smart response number 5. Be prepared to walk away. This is the most powerful response of all, and it requires real courage. Be genuinely willing to end contact with someone who repeatedly ignores you, regardless of how much you enjoyed their company when they were attentive.
Walking away doesn't mean being angry or dramatic. It means calmly recognizing that someone's pattern of behavior is inconsistent with what you need and deserve, and choosing to invest your emotional energy elsewhere. Helen, 66, made this difficult but necessary choice. Robert would be attentive and wonderful for weeks, then disappear without explanation for days at a time. After the third time this happened, I realized this was his pattern, not an exception. I sent him a brief, kind message saying I'd enjoyed getting to know him, but I was looking for someone who could offer consistent communication and availability. Then, I blocked his number. This response accomplishes several important things. It demonstrates that you value yourself enough to walk away from treatment that doesn't serve you. It prevents you from getting trapped in cycles of hope and disappointment, and it opens up space in your life for someone who will consistently prioritize you. The most important part of this response is that it must be genuine. You can't walk away as a strategy to make him chase you. You must be truly prepared to move forward without him, confident that you deserve better treatment than what he's offering. Sometimes walking away brings clarity to someone who was taking you for granted, and they step up with renewed appreciation and consistency. But more often, it simply frees you from an exhausting cycle and makes space for someone better suited to your worth.
Which of these responses feels most challenging for you? Share your thoughts below. Your courage in implementing these approaches inspires other women to value themselves more highly. Now, here's what I need you to understand about all of these responses. They're not about manipulation or trying to make someone want you more. They're about self-respect and creating space for the kind of relationship you actually deserve. When someone ignores you, they're showing you their level of investment in your connection. Your job isn't to convince them to value you more, it's to accept that information and respond in ways that honor your own worth. The right person for you won't need to be convinced of your value. They won't play disappearing acts or leave you wondering where you stand. They'll communicate consistently because they genuinely want to stay connected to you. These smart responses help you avoid wasting precious time and emotional energy on someone who isn't ready or able to offer you the kind of relationship that would truly fulfill you. They protect your dignity while creating space for better opportunities. Ladies, I want you to remember something crucial. Being ignored by someone doesn't reflect your worth, it reflects their availability, maturity, and level of genuine interest. Your value doesn't decrease because someone fails to recognize or prioritize it. At this beautiful stage of life, you don't have time to waste on people who can't decide if they want to be with you. You deserve someone who shows up consistently, who communicates openly, and who treats your time and attention as the precious gifts they are. These 5 smart responses aren't about playing games or manipulating outcomes. They're about honoring yourself enough to require consistent, respectful treatment from anyone who wants a place in your life. When you respond to being ignored with dignity, self-focus, clear standards, and the willingness to walk away, you're not just handling one situation. You're establishing a pattern of self-respect that will serve you in every relationship moving forward. The right man will never leave you wondering where you stand or questioning your worth. He'll communicate consistently because staying connected to you feels important and natural to him. As Maya Angelou reminded us, never make someone a priority when you're only an option to them. Your job is to be your own priority and to require that anyone who wants a place in your life treats you as one too. If this message gave you courage to value yourself more highly and respond to poor treatment with dignity, please subscribe to our channel and share this with other mature women who deserve to know their worth. Remember, you're not just getting older, you're getting wiser about what you will and won't accept. Trust that wisdom,
honor your standards, and never compromise your dignity for anyone's inconsistent attention. I'll see you in our next video, where we'll continue exploring how to create the respectful, loving relationships you truly deserve. Until then, remember, you are worthy of consistent love, respectful communication, and someone's genuine enthusiasm for your company. Accept nothing less.